And it is the day of the decision for Nigeria's ruling All Progressive Congress. As Vice President Yemi Osibajo, Senate President Ahmed Lawal, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Kayode Fayemi, Rotimi Amechi, Dave Umahi are all set to slug it out for the party's presidential ticket ahead of the country's election in 2023. Joining us now is an APC stalwart, Gbenga Olawepo Hashim, and he will be speaking on developments in the party ahead of the presidential primary, which holds later in the day, as well as what to expect leading up to the event. I want to say welcome to Newsday.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, Mr. Gbenga, to get it all started today, the D-Day is here. Destiny is before us. Talk to us. Are you expecting any curveball, or do you think we'll be having a smooth primaries today?
Yeah, I believe by the grace of God, we're going to have a smooth primaries. The tone has already been set. We had the party yesterday announce its initiative for a consensus candidate and also give the options that every of the contestants who are quite eminently qualified have the right to contest as a primary if they do not agree to the consensus initiative. I believe there will be a lot of talks back and forth, and at the end of the day, reason will prevail, and the delegates will have to vote at some point in time. And that's the beauty of democracy.
Now, we've had some controversial statements from some prominent members within your party. We've heard one aspirant say it's his turn to be president because he supported President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. And of course, we've heard people liken the vice president to a popcorn and ice cream seller and so on. But I'd like to know on what basis delegates will be making their choice today. Is it based on zoning, on consensus, an agreement reached in 2015, national interest? What will it be?
Well, I think the positive thing will be to consider national interest against sectional interest. I have never personally subscribed to determining who leads Nigeria on the basis of ethnicity or religion. I think there are serious issues confronting Nigeria today, and every reasonable person and patriotic Nigerian believe this should be the things that should govern choices. Nigeria is confronted by security challenges. There are economic issues. There are issues of job. I believe that delegates should concentrate on who is better positioned to address these issues, as well as who will be able to make the party win the general election. We are competing with a very strong opposition now that is getting stronger. We also have other smaller parties. So at the end of the day, you want to put your best competitive foot forward.
All right. And speaking on the criteria that the delegates will be using to choose the candidate this evening, I don't mean to skirt the side of controversy, but we do know that in past conventions, there have been lots of reports of vote buying and cash exchange and all the like. I'm wondering if the APC has taken into account these situations and have put in more safeguards in order to avoid.
I think the president has set a tone on this.
Okay.
He's encouraged delegates to ignore and refuse gratification before the vote. And the caliber of delegates that I see, I know from Kwara you have a delegate who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. From Anambra, you have some of the delegates who were retired military generals. I'm a delegate myself, and I do not see how anyone's gratification is going to influence what I do or what I do not do. So I expect that by and large, there should be some level of decorum and discipline in the APC primary. We are a party in government and we need to show discipline and leadership. And I think the president already set the tone.
All right, let's talk about Governor Yaya Bello. He stormed out of the meeting yesterday with the governors as he chose not to support the consensus agenda, clearly for obvious reasons, understanding that he too feels probably he has the right to run. Talk to us about that dynamic and the fact that, after people have bought forms, picked up and bought forms for probably 100 million, they're telling them to shit their swords and actually just collapse their ambition on that one single candidate.
Well, I think the party has always had a way of putting its eye on the primary issue, which is for you to be competitive and win elections. And at the end of the day, you would expect that every member of the party will subordinate their personal interests to this larger objective. This is not the first time this is going to happen in Nigeria. Towards the build-up to 1979 general election, when we had the MPM primaries, the leading candidates were people like Alhaji Maitama Sule. You had even Chief MKO Abiola, Dr. Olushola Saraki. You had Alhaji Chiroma. These were quite eminently qualified people to be president. Eventually, the party saw in its calculation that President Shagari, who was running to be a senator at that time, would be a better material to make the party win. And they advised all the top contenders to please back down for this candidate. And that was a winning formula for the MPN.
Well, Mr. Gbenga, permit me to say that
this is not the first
parallels
time
are not being
happen.
drawn, understanding that no one at that point was being asked to pay a ridiculous 100 million naira for a party ticket.
Well, I don't think payment of money is the only criteria for you to come to be a presidential candidate of a party. That was one of it. And if I remember, you had similar occurrence. You had people who were contributing heavily to finance the MPN, and they were simply told, look, the presidency is a different ballgame. The presidency of the country is not for sale. So, and they say, well, we know you have done very well for us. We are going to look after your business interests as a party because you are a businessman, but we're not going to sell the presidency. This was the contest for which that was done, in the late 70s. So yes, the party had put up some criteria as to buy a form at so rate, and a lot of party members have criticized this, and Nigerians generally. But this is not the only requirement for you to be the presidential candidate of the party.
Now, there are some fears, reports, and speculations that some aspirants might leave the party and possibly team up with the opposition if they do not emerge as the APC's flag bearer. I'd like to know, what reconciliation mechanism does the APC have in place, to reconcile all these aggrieved aspirants after the primaries?
Well, these normal things. At the end of the day, I'm sure that most of these aspirants who are eminently qualified to lead the party will agree that it's in the best interest of everyone for the party to win. They need the party to win. Some of them have sponsored their governorship candidates and in their various states, and I'm not sure they want to jump ship to make such people lose in their state. So apart from being presidential aspirant, there are other very serious stakes in the party as well that some of these aspirants are connected with.
Late yesterday, there were some reports that the APC had come to a consensus candidate in the name of Ahmed Lawan. And of course, a lot of reports came out after that. Governor Akeredolu came out to say that it was an expensive joke if that was so. From all that you have seen, being an APC stalwart yourself, and seeing what we are going through in this country in terms of food insecurity, inflation, insecurity, who do you think is the best candidate that can go up against Atiku Abubakar in order to clinch the APC ticket?
Well, I think the party, as you said, already announced what should be a consensus candidate. Governors have right to express themselves, but they don't constitute organs of the party. The man who is in a better position to know what has been decided at the highest level of the party is the chairman of the party, a well-experienced personality. He was a two-time governor himself more than some 20 years ago. He's been in the Senate, he's a lawyer, he's been a minister, he's been anything that anybody can be in politics, well advanced in age. He was a member of the National Executive Committee of the MPN. He has a lot of experience, behind him. I believe he's not just going to be spurious about what he says, and that he's not just going to just open his mouth at that level if he has not had the level of consultation that he needed to have. So it is normal in politics that people will have their own opinion. But at the end of the day, there will be an aggregate of all these opinions, and I believe the APC is going to move forward strongly as a united party at the end of the day by the grace of God.
I admire your optimism about the APC moving forward strongly. But this is a sticking point, understanding that you just, let's go back to that particular issue. The governors want someone from the south. The party chairman is favoring someone from the north. And we've been having this back and forth at the moment. She asked the question, and I'll reiterate it again. If the APC are to come out tops in 2023...
There are many...
Okay, go
There
ahead.
are many political interest groups in the APC. The governors are one. National Assembly members are one. You have youth organization, you have women organization. All these are stakeholders in the affairs of the party. But the party does have its own organs in terms of decision-making mechanism. And the most superior officer of the party is the national chairman, and he's been having consultation with all groups. So you will have some governors, not all the governors, some governors who feel strongly. Some of them want to be vice president, for instance, and they would rather that the presidency goes somewhere else so they can be vice president, since they cannot be president in their own estimation. But there are other people who are very convinced, and in the party's estimation, where we are today, especially because the APC is going to be squaring up with another party that is a bit competitive. So it's very important for the APC to also ensure that it gets its strategies in place, and the party is not going to be restricted to any particular zone to make this happen. And I think it's also very important that we look forward to a modern Nigeria where who becomes the party's flag bearer is not going to be on the basis of where such a person comes from.
Well, now, like you said, the APC will be facing up against a very competitive party. Atiku Abubakar has unveiled a 5-point agenda seeking to restore unity, repair the economy, tackle insecurity, strengthen the education system. And these are all sectors that we know they need critical overhauling in Nigeria. Now, in 2015, Nigerians turned to the APC out of desperation. Are you worried that out of desperation now, they just might vote the APC out of power in 2023?
Well, I'm not worried at all. The PDP is becoming increasingly competitive, but it still has a lot of legacy issues, you know, and there are downsides even to the candidate that they have chosen. And at the appropriate time, when we are done with this convention, we will face the issue of the general election. The critical issue for us right now is to unite as a party and let's get a candidate that can bring out the vote. And I believe that the direction the national leadership of the party is facing right now is the best way to face.
All right, Mr. Gbenga Olawepo Hashim, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for this discussion on the APC primaries.